So here, if we go to the next part of the discussion, that is characteristics of synthetic fibers, where the synthetic fibers include nylon, terylene, PET, and also acrylics. If we take all the synthetic fibers, as we have already discussed earlier, they are highly elastic. They have the expansion and contraction tendency, and they have the easy tendency to dry fast. That is one more advantage, where you can notice maintains the permanent crease, and they do not get easily crumpled. That means they do not get easily holded, or they do not get easily soiled up. That is the meaning of crumpled. And the crease is nothing but keeping the fabric quality, the texture of the the fabric remains the same over the period of time. The quality of the fabrics will not change. That is called permanent crease. They have very strong resistance to the external creatures like microorganisms like insects and moths. And one of the disadvantages for the synthetic fibers is like they are highly inflammable, and they catches fire easily. Actually, there's a difference between a person wearing a cotton fabric cloth and the synthetic fiber cloth like nylon or whatever. So the person who is wearing nylon or something like terylene type of cloth or fabric, then once it's going to catch a fire, you find that this fabric has more affinity to the skin. It sticks to the skin, and during the burning, if this nylon, if it happens to sticks to the skin, it is very difficult for us to separate the nylon component from the surface of the skin, and the person may suffer severe injuries on the surface of the skin. And it is very disastrous to always see that if there is any fire mishap where a person wearing the nylon like of fabrics rather than the cotton fabrics, that we have to keep it in mind. And that's why that is one of the biggest disadvantage for the synthetic fabrics, particularly when it catches a fire. And the biggest disadvantages, all the synthetic fibers are non-biodegradable, and they are once we use the word non-biodegradable, that means they are not eco-friendly. If they are not eco-friendly, that means they are causing an adverse impact on ecosystem. That means if these synthetic fibers, when they are just stored in a trash in the form of a trench under the surface of the soil, then it takes number of years to get degraded. But if you take any other naturally occurring fibers, they can be easily biodegradable, and you can see that within few days the natural fibers, they get sinked into the soil, and they can be converted into useful manure. But here in the case of non-biodegradable, that means synthetic fibers, they are non-biodegradable. They will take number of years, over the period of years they will take to biodegrade. That is why they are not eco-friendly, and they cause adverse impact on the ecosystem. That is what which you have to keep it in mind. And if these synthetic fibers which are worn by those people who are sensitive, they have if they have certain sensitivity to their skins, then definitely if they are sensitive to their skin allergy or something like that, then it is prone to cause lot of skin allergies, and also they form unnecessary rashes, particularly for people who are suffering with some skin diseases. If they wear this synthetic fiber type of fabrics, then they suffer from some skin allergies, and also that may lead to the rashes. So that's why they are prone to skin allergies and rashes in particular. So these are all the disadvantages of synthetic fibers, overall disadvantages of the synthetic fibers. And if that is the case, then one point which we have to keep a note of the water absorbing tendency for natural and synthetic fibers. For example, wool is natural, cotton is natural, silk is natural, but nylon is artificial fiber. So that is synthetic fiber. So synthetic fibers have least absorbing tendency, and natural fibers, these are natural fibers. Natural fibers have high water absorption tendency, but nylon is a synthetic fiber. It has least absorption tendency. So in that way, we have to please make a note of this, so which is a part of the general characteristics of the synthetic fibers. So the next part of the discussion here is plastics. If you go for plastics, these are synthetic fibers which are made of polymers. When you say polymers in turn are made up of monomers. More depending upon the kind of monomers which are present in the polymers, we can decide whether the plastics, what kind of classification we can give for plastics. Suppose if you take for example monomers, here I can take that is ethene. We have ethene and that is vinyl cyanide. Ethene and vinyl cyanide. These are the two monomers. Ethene molecular formula C2H4, vinyl cyanide C2H3 of Cn, where Cn is the cyanide, C2H3 is the vinyl group. So these are the two monomers. So here we can say that means here this is one case. Then suppose if the same polymer, if it has monomers like formaldehyde and phenol, and sometimes it has melamine. These are the two different types of monomers present. That means based on the types of monomers, here we have one type of monomer, here we have one type of monomer. Then these monomers, that means based on type of monomers and the heating effect, they can be classified into these plastics can be classified into. So therefore these plastics can be converted into, that is, now plastics we can convert into two types. One is high HDP and LDP. HDP we call it as high density. HDP is high density polymer. In HDP, in high density polymer, you can find that the monomers in the form of fibers, they are in the linear pattern. They are in the linear chain pattern. If you go into the linear chain pattern, the diagram looks like this. If you think that these are all the monomers, the link goes like this, just a straight chain, that's it. This is called linear pattern, straight chain pattern. High density polymer. Then in this high density polymer you can take straight chain pattern, you find the monomers, that is polythene. Here you can take polyethene. The plastic is called polyethene. This is polyvinyl cyanide. All these are high density polymers. Low density polymers, if you're taking low density polymers, then that is LDP, low density polymers. Low density polymers, if you take these monomers in the form of fibers, they are cross-linked. They are in the form of cross-linked chain pattern. So what is the kind of diagram you can notice? The diagram which you can notice here is, we can have more number of interlinks like this. The monomer units are linked like this, more than one branch. This is a kind of link you find. This is called cross-link pattern, cross-linked chain. And when you say cross-linked chain, you can use this formaldehyde with phenol, we call it as bakelite, and this is melamine. These are the best polymers in the form of low density polymers. So that means now the polymers in the form of plastics, we have resolved them into two components. One is high density polymers and low density polymers. Particularly if you are taking the high density polymers, they can be molded into any shapes. This is high density polymers. You can take polythene bags, polythene bags, then plastic sticks, then plastic lighters or something like that. High density polymer, low density polymers, you can take plastic chairs, plastic chairs you can take. Here you can take plastic bags, plastic carry bags, we can say, etc. So here the next part of the discussion, that is characteristics of plastics. If you take available, all the plastics, they are available in all shapes because they can be molded into, any shape of the object. They can be recycled and they can be reused, and they can be easily melted, and they can be rolled into sheets, and they can be made into wires. So this is the advantage of using the plastics. The monomers which are present in the polymer, they are easily expandable and they can be resizable, and they can be casted into any molds. They can be molded into any shape of the object. That's why we can say that they can be recycled, reused. Today in the market we know about the renewable plastics, the reusable plastics. In all the metro cities where there's a lot of population, you find that the plastics are always recycled, because when we use the plastics, when we go on recycle the plastic, that means we'll be saving our environment also, because these plastics are non-biodegradable. When they are dumped into the trash or in the form of a trash, and when they are dumped in a trench, then they will take hundreds of years to renew, to biodegrade. So they cause irreparable damage for the the soil texture, that is the quality of the soil, making it highly the unfit for any kind of the growth of plants and animals. That's why it is recycled, reused, and it is melted, and it is rolled into sheets and can be made into thin fine wires depending upon the daily need. Then if you take the plastics are actually two types. We have thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. So what is the difference between thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics? Here if you take any plastic which can be easily bent, the plastics which are easily bent, or they are easily, they can be deformed, or they can easily change into any shapes. Okay, the easily bent plastics are called as thermoplastics. And these thermoplastics, the best example for thermoplastics are, that is PVC plastics. PVC means polyvinyl chloride, or polyvinyl chloride, or polyvinyl cyanide plastics are there. And polythene, this polythene is very famous. It is used as a polythene cover, or polythene bags, or polythene sheets, or whatever. Okay, they can be used, these polythenes or polyvinyl chlorides can be used as toys, combs, and they can also be used in the manufacture of plastic pipes, agricultural pipes also. They are used from the PVCs for agricultural purposes, or various daily household needs also. We try to manufacture the plastic pipes, molded ones. And what about the thermosetting plastics? Once they are molded into a particular shape of the object, they cannot be deformed or softened by heating. Then such plastics, we call it as thermosetting plastics. The best example of thermosetting plastics is bakelite and melamine. Particularly, as I told you, bakelite is used for electrical insulations. If you go for bakelite, it is used in electrical insulations. Electrical insulations in the sense, you can take, that is electric switches. If you take, then hanging of electrical wires to long distances, also we use bakelite. And melamine is a plastic, thermosetting plastic, where it is used in fireproof dress material for, particularly for fire mishaps, during the fire mishaps. The people who deal with the fire mishaps, then they wear this fireproof dress material which is having a coating of melamine. Then this melamine, it is also used in manufacture of floor of tiles and also kitchenware. Then apart from this, we also expect the plastics to show the properties like they are lighter in their weight. Of course, if you take in terms of economy, they are lower in their price because of the easy availability. They have good strength, they have good strength. Because of these reasons, they are used in the manufacture of various spare parts of car, various parts of car, auxiliary parts of the car. Then they are used in aircrafts, then they are used in spacecrafts also. Then yes, of course, they are anti-corrosive because they are resistant to atmospheric oxidation. The plastics are not corroded at all because they are very strong to they don't have any affinity for the atmospheric oxygen or atmospheric gases present in the air. That's why it is anti-corrosive. It is cheaper than metals. The availability of metals is limited. That is why isolating metals is difficult. So instead of metals, the alternative source is plastic. Plastics are always cheaper and easy to use, and of course they are poor conductors of heat and electricity. You can see the electrical people handling the connections in the household connections. Whenever they want to operate a conducting wire, they just first test it through the screwdriver. The upper part of the screwdriver is fitted with the plastic, and that plastic will help the electrician to find out whether the current is passing through that particular area or not. Because if the current is passing, there is a blink in the screwdriver, but the upper part of the screwdriver is fitted with the plastic material, so there is remote chances of the electrician to get any kind of electric shock for him. So that is the advantage. So that is why we can say that it is a poor conductor of heat and electricity. So all these points will sum up in a nutshell to study the useful characteristics of plastics. So here, if you go to the large scale use of the plastics in particular, you can see that there are two major sectors where the plastics have a massive application in our daily life. One is healthcare industry and plastic cookware, and of course the last point which I have highlighted is not a part of plastic cookware, but I just added rationally. So if you go for healthcare industry in packing of tablets, yes, today if you take the tablets in the various forms, whether they are available in the form of spherical powdered tablets, or if you take in the form of a solid mass tablet, or in the form of capsule, you find that the the chemical composition of the tablet is stored safely in plastic, because plastic cannot allow any air or any dust particles or any impurity to enter into the coated envelope of the plastic. So that's why they are used in packing of tablets. But one important area which we have to notice here is nowadays biodegradable tablets are also coming. That is biodegradable tablets are also manufactured, which are very safe for us to consume. The chemical substance used in the biodegradable tablets are, that is PBHV. This is called PBHV tablets, we call them as. These PBHV tablets are readily soluble in water. The capsule automatically dissolves in water, it mixes with the different components, biological components in our body, and it has zero side effects. And nowadays it is used, it's very popular. PBHV tablets we call it as. And it is also used in stitches of wounds. The fine thread of the plastic, nylon thread or whatever, the fine thread of the plastic is also used in stitching the wounds of a person who is suffering from severe injury, or if there are any severe cuts and bleeds. The bleeding and cuts are arrested by taking the stitches, by using the stitches of wounds. Then the doctor uses the injection needle. The injection needle is actually protected before use. The syringe is actually protected to a plastic cover. In the plastic cover it is stored, that injection or the syringe needle. Then doctor's gloves, yes, whether the doctor during the operations, particularly during the dental operations or any major operation, they always protect themselves from the plastic gloves, and they also use the plastic masks also sometimes. And in the plastic cookware, cooking industry, then cooking of food, they are used in cooking of food. Nowadays the electric cookers are very famous, which are having the plastic material involved in it. Microwave oven. In the microwave oven, when you supply the heat to the food, it only heats the food without affecting the plastic part of the container. Teflon coating is very famous. This Teflon coating, it is used for the fine finishing on the surface of the cars. This Teflon is made up of polytetrafluoroethylene, is the coating which is given on the metal surfaces, which will prevent the fine finishing of the metal surface of the cars and bikes, and this is because this polytetrafluoroethylene do not mixes with the oil and water, because Teflon doesn't have action for oil and water. That's why this Teflon coating is always an advantage for the metal surface for the car or the metal surface for the bike. And even in the non-stick pans also we try to use Teflon coating, because that's the advantage for the the food which we try to cook on its surface, and it is heat proof also. So taking all these advantages, Teflon coating has a lot of applications in our daily life. So here let us try to answer some questions. Exercise. It is if you take Y, saucepans, and that is electric boards and plugs, or electric boards and plugs, they are called thermosetting plastics. Setting plastics. It is because if you take saucepan, you take a saucepan has handle. It is made up of plastic. This plastic is a bad conductor of heat and electricity. It allows the cooking of food. It allows cooking of food by absorbing heat, but the heat is not transmitted to the handle. Heat is not transmitted to handle. So similarly here also, if you go for electric boards or plugs, if you take, these are also is a non-conductors of electricity, bad conductors of electricity. So it is safe for us to consume. These are also bad conductors of electricity, so it is safe for us to consume, because when we on and off the plug, if we take on and off, if you take that this is a electric boards, and if you find this is the switch, something like this, if this is the switch, you can just on it, because this is all insulating material, insulating plastic, and this is switch. So even when the finger is coming in contact with the switch also, we need not get any electric shock. So next is first question. Second question, manufacture of synthetic fibers. Manufacture of synthetic fibers helps in conservation of forests. Helps in conservation of forests. Comment. Let us give a convincing comment. Actually, if you, because the restoration of the forest, the restoration of the forest depends on availability of natural fibers. So from natural fibers we can prepare different kind of the polymer products, but due to manufacture of synthetic fibers, due to the manufacture of synthetic fibers from chemicals we can protect, because by adding different chemicals we are trying to prepare synthetic fibers. These synthetic fibers, they just function like natural fibers in the form of bioplastics. Synthetic plastics also, they just work like bioplastics. So that's why whatever synthetic fibers we are preparing them from chemical compounds. So therefore we are trying to maintain the restoration of the forest. That means forest reserves are protected. Forest reserves are protected. This is one particular point which you have to keep it in mind.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.